Alright guys, unfortunately got a bit of a sad story. Some of you probably heard about my dog Rolo. He got very ill. I noticed him starting to stumble and stuff. I have trouble keeping walking his back legs and his front leg. So I called my mate and we went down to the PDSA. These bastards in Vans, Pitsy, Basildon. And all they done was check his back legs, thermometer up the bum, gave him some painkillers for his arthritis. He said he had a bit of arthritis. And they weighed him, 27 kilo. But then it got worse. He fell out of his bed, stood up, tried to turn around, and he fell out of his bed. This is only a couple of nights, yeah. But this would be the second night. Then the next day, he was even worse. He tried to go from the sofa to the puffy, to the window. He fell off. I picked him up. Then he tried to walk to the back garden. He went over again. And I thought, nah, enough of this. And because of my disabilities, I can't walk very far. I've got no way of getting into a vet. So I called out social care because I'm under them. And I asked them to call the RSPCA because I knew the RSPCA would help. Quarter of an hour later, the RSPCA turned up. And I explained the situation. And he started, I got him off the sofa so she could see him walk. And she got her phone out and started videoing. Then she got her paperwork. I said, go to the van and get the paperwork. She said, I need to take him to see one of our vets. And don't forget, a couple of days before, he'd already been to the PDSA. So remember that. PDSA, Vans, Pitsy. These bastards. Well, she took him to the vets. I signed the paperwork for that. And then she got this other piece of paperwork out, giving permission to put him down. And she could see how bad he was. How the hell the PDSA didn't know it's called, Christ only knows, they're supposed to be vets. Anyway, long story short, I helped to get him out to a van, picked him up, put him in a van. So she took him to Earl's Hall Vets. And then I got a phone call from the RSPCA woman. She said the vets had a look at him. And remember what I'm about to tell you now. And ask yourself, how did the PDSA miss all of this? And when I've told you this, I'll tell you how they missed it. He was blind in both eyes. How the fuck did they miss that? Because they didn't do a proper examination. That's how they missed that. He had a weak heartbeat, a very weak heartbeat. Yet again, if they'd done a proper examination, they would have found that. Yes, the PDSA said he had arthritis, but it's worse than that. He had severe arthritis. So if they'd done a proper examination, blood tests, scans, x-rays, blah, 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 they would have found all this. So because of their incompetence, that dog suffered for a couple of more days. Okay. And a RSPCA woman said we can seriously medicate him. So she rang me up and said we can seriously medicate him to get him more comfortable. And I said no. He will not have any quality of life. He'll be a complete vegetable, mugged off on all his pills and shit. And having a severely weak heart, that could go at any time. So he'd suffer even more. So I said to the RSPCA women on the phone, the old dog and bone, I said, it's not about what I want. You do what's right for Rolo. Because I don't want him suffering anymore. So he was put to sleep. And the RSPCA woman said, would you like me to come back? And I said, yes, please. And I said to her, these bastards, PDSA, Vans, Pitsy, I said, you need to look into them. Big time. And she said, don't worry, we will. And I said to her, they're not helping dogs and animals. They are causing them to suffer more. If they had done the proper checks, the scans, the blood tests, whatever, they would have found these problems that Rolo had. The blindness in both eyes, the weak, severely weak heart, the arthritis, severe arthritis. They would have found all that. And I could have done what needed to be done to stop him from suffering. But oh no, they didn't, did they? So he suffered a couple of more days. Because they didn't do a full examination and blood test. Must these bastards in Pitsy, Bands, Basildon. My social workers have sorted out his cremation. I'm paying for that on the 21st. His ashes will be coming home. And I'm going to bury them in his favourite spot in the back garden with a rose bush on top. So there you go. This is how bad the PDSA is in Vans Pitsy. These are all the things they missed because they did not do a proper examination of my dog, which led him to suffering for a couple of more days. Also, the RSPCA women said a couple of those lumps could be cancerous. So how the fuck did they miss them as well? So they missed him being blind in both eyes. They missed him having a severely weak heartbeat. They missed him having severe arthritis and a couple of lumps that could be cancerous. And they call themselves vets. All they are is a dog's worst nightmare.